All right, man. Alex Clemsen, head coach at Maryland Wrestling. How you doing?
I'm well, thanks. Getting in the DCA Reagan International Airport today.
There you go. Yeah, well, I'm lucky to catch you as you're traveling and the life never stops, right? But even if you're doing all this travel and everything you got going on, I wanted to talk about the upcoming season, the wrestle offs that just took place, and kind of the messaging to your team. But let's start with what you got coming up this weekend. Kent State at 2 p.m. and Bucknell at 4 p.m. Home duels for you guys. So talk a little bit about, your expectations and kind of the things that you're delivering to the team as far as messaging and what you want to see out of them.
Well, you want to have the guys go out and wrestle hard. I think good things happen when you go out and you can get across the line and are physical and you put yourself in your positions more than not. It's funny. We've had a young roster I feel like since we got to College Park. We're going to be young again. We're going to start a couple true freshmen, and so you're trying to be really consistent with your messaging and simple with it, clear with it. But I'm excited to anytime you can open up your season at home. I think that's great, and then get multiple matches. That's an even better thing. And we're wrestling against two head coaches that I've known a long time, and Coach Anderson and Coach Warnsberger. Jim actually offered me a job out of college, and Dan was the head coach at Bloom when I was an athlete at Edinburgh. So our paths crossed, quite a bit. So it's cool when you get to compete against people you know and respect. And I'm thankful that they're willing to bring their squads down to College Park and have a fun opening weekend.
No, that's going to be awesome. And it's always good when you can have, obviously, like you said, duels to start the season at home. But, when you can pair it up and have it be a try meet and get a lot of competition in there for everybody, that works out even better. So you just had the wrestle offs last week. So talk a little bit about, what you saw that jumped out at you, and then just kind of walk through the weight classes. I know there's some big names changing weights this year.
Yeah, I mean, I think right off the start, you see Ethan Miller at 157 pounds. We thought maybe we'd see Cal up there, and then as the preseason kind of went on, Ethan's body stayed really, really big, and Cal's body kind of shrunk, and um, they're both healthy and they're both able to compete at a high level. And we sat down with both boys and said, do we want to try to keep you guys both in the lineup and we want to do something different? And we kind of went back and forth on it. And I said, look, at some point we're going to have to make a decision. And when we do, we got to be all in, no matter what the decision is. Yeah, Ethan, we did a DEXA scan with him, and I actually thought the DEXA was wrong, and I made him do another one. Our nutritionist was like, Alex, they're not wrong. Things worth, several, whatever, thousands, tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm like, yeah, just run it again, put him in there again. I mean, he had a net gain from last March to this August of 13 and a half pounds of lean muscle. So he lost a couple pounds of fat and gained 11 pounds of muscle. And it's like, you add 11 pounds onto 149, you weigh 160 pounds now. You take 2.5 pounds of fat off, you weigh 157. It's like he literally blew himself out of the weight class in our weight room this summer, which is great because he and Cal have basically been the same weight since they got here. Now I don't think they are.
Yeah.
I think Ethan looked great, and I think Cal too. We didn't get to see Cal. He had a little tweak. He and Jackson Smith, who's going to be at 184 pounds. They both had little tweaks, and no point in wrestling on them out there. Silly. So we held them, and they're both fine. They'll be good to go for opening weekend. We will not have Dario Leeds this weekend or at Tiger Style. He had an injury early this fall in training. He's worked really diligently to get back. He's way ahead of schedule. In fact, our trainer said that, if it was the weekend before Big Tens to get him out there, whatever, he'd have no problem, letting him, take the training wheels off and put him out there. I know
Yeah.
Dario's going to hear this and he's going to be like, Coach, I can go. I want to go. I'm like, so I'm sure I'm going to get a text message from him or his dad at some point. And, I'm a big baseball fan, and they say, you can't win the World Series in April, but you sure as hell can lose it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel about with Dario. It's like, yeah, we sit him, shelf him for a couple of matches, make sure he's, 101% before we put him out there. And when we do, he'll be able to go out and be Dario. And so there'll be another new face in the lineup. And then at 125 pounds, we have three young kids, with Abram Klein, President Sanchez, and Tyler Garvin. I'm not 100% sure who I'm going to wrestle. Nobody really separated him in the wrestle off. I think there was, 2 overtime matches, one of which I made it was decided on riding time by like 2 seconds. And I was like, no, wrestle for a takedown. And then the other guy got the takedown. Same thing happened at 65. Guy had 6 seconds of riding time twice after the 2 ride outs that they did. And I said, no, keep wrestling. Of course, the other guy then gets a takedown. So between Ryan Money and John Martin Best, and it's a great problem to have. Our staff actually, we're sitting around a staff meeting a couple of weeks ago, and Coach Berchetta, who's on this flight with me, said, this is the first time I felt like we have real competition in the room.
Yeah.
That weight classes aren't decided, that people aren't just apathetic to that's the guy, that there's a lot of competition in our room, and guys are hungry to wrestle and they want a chance to compete and they want to wear that M bar. We have quite a few Maryland kids in the room. I think that helps as well, just a different level of pride. And it's showing in our training, and it's showing, I think the other night the kids wrestled, really competitively. The thing I didn't like was we didn't score enough offensive points. I was frustrated at the lack of offense. I think sometimes you get that in an inter squad. But I want to see kids take risks and open up, try stuff, get outside your box, get it, put in the new shot, put in the second motion. Or maybe thought we were a little tight, so having a dress rehearsal hopefully is what we needed to knock the rust off and clear the cobwebs, and hopefully we fire on all cylinders on Sunday, because both teams have capable guys and are well coached and are prepared. And if we don't wrestle well, we will have poor results. So I hope that helps us have the results we're looking for. So we're going to see another fresh face too at 174, Branson John. My intent is to wrestle him this year, at least give him the first 5 matches and see how he does. And then Dom Solif hasn't had a chance to redshirt yet. Jackson Smith changing weight classes kind of changed some things with Dom and Branson both. And we had to kind of get creative with our lineup and how to make our team not just good this year, but next year and the following years. And so right now the intent is to wrestle Branson and redshirt Dominic. That could change. We'll see how the young kid does, and go from there. So it's really nice that we get these 5 dates, because we don't have to wrestle and then sit in and wrestle. We can just roll them out there 5 times, and he gets in a little bit of a slump, and have another opportunity to get back out there. We'll have a good subset of data that tells us whether or not he should be, plugged in or not full time. So I think he's got a pretty bright future. He's got some great training partners around his weight class. He's got some great coaching going on. He's really doing a good job. Everything we see right now says that he should be fine, but you never know until you throw a true freshman out there. We're going to have 2 in the lineup, and that's, we haven't done that other than Cal. So in 6 seasons, we've only done it 1 time before this. So a little bit out of our norm, but it's what fits for our lineup now and for later. So that's what we're going to do. I'm excited for these young kids to go out and compete. Sometimes, I wrestled as a true freshman. Coach Berchetta sitting across from me wrestled as a true freshman. Sometimes what you don't know, it helps you. You're young and green and hungry, and you just go out and try really hard. And typically good things happen, like I said, when kids do that. So hopefully we see that. You
just let it fly at that point, and kind of see what happens, and you can learn from those losses. But sometimes you take away enough from a loss just being confident getting to somebody's legs that you watched, on Big Ten Network last year.
Sure, and you just, the more times you get into positions and in and out of positions and through positions, and the harder you try, the more we can fix. I think Gino Ariema talks about it all the time. It's not his job to coach effort. It's not his job to fix mentality. It's his job to put a game plan together and coach tactics and skills. I feel the same way. If I need to motivate you, you're in the wrong business. So we've got kids that are really hungry, I think, to break through. Jackson Smith was frustrated last spring, really frustrated. He's been really focused. He's had an amazing end of the summer, start through fall. He looks great. I think the weight change is good for him in a lot of ways. Seth Nevels looks really good. I think about where he was 365 days ago to where he is now. When he got to us, he would just, technical difficulties. When he got to us, he had been out of the room for a little bit in state college. Once he had made the decision to leave, they said it was time for you to move on and not utilize our facilities anymore, which that was Kale's choice. I would think you'd let an alum in your room anytime, but is what it is. So when he got to us, he was not in the shape I think he should have been or needed to be, and I put him behind the 8 ball all year, and we didn't see a really good version of him actually until the NCAAs. I don't think we really saw like a complete, like close to a complete version of him until March. Even at Big Tens, I think he was a little beat down. He just didn't recover the same. And then at nationals, he looked great. And so we talked about that peak, and we've learned things from that. We've learned things as we've gone along. We've taken things, we're continuing to tweak them and try to make sure we get kids peak at the right times for the right things. And I think peaking there sometimes is about mentality. Rizzelli and Flynn used to talk about that with Koshek. They'd have to like overtrain him and tell him he hadn't done enough, and tell him he was not ready, and tell him he was soft, and some other things, right? That's just what he responded to. He wanted to be like, overcooked almost. I've been around other guys that want to be a little undercooked, and they think they got to be super fresh to be great. You got to kind of balance that as a coach and understand who you got in your room, who's in your lineup, and how to best prepare each guy while also, feeling comfortable about your plan and what, you're doing as a program for not just right now, but the future. We'll continue to balance that and I think get it closer to perfect. I'm confident in that. Our staff has spent a lot of time together, and the change, losing Coach Mellon stunk on a personal level, and on a professional one. Seeing Coach Oliver and Coach Loeb get an opportunity to grow, and then picking up Cole Matthews has been really great on the other end. I always talk about there's two edges of a sword. So one edge hurt a little bit, one edge has been great. So I think you're going to see, some good things from the interjection of those three guys, all in new roles.
No, absolutely, and it's always exciting to bring in new people and get new perspectives, and like you said, there's got to be different ways to approach different people, right? And different mentalities, and different coaches can sometimes get through to them. One thing I wanted to point out, so I was in kind of preparing for this interview and catching up with you quick. There is an article on the Maryland website. Expect to Win is kind of the title of it, and I was kind of looking through that. Talk real quickly, if you would, just about kind of the mentality. I mean, it seems almost like a call to action for this season.
Yeah, I mean, we rolled it out really, last year. We had it on the wall in the room for a couple of years, and you got to be careful, I think, when you say things and what your messaging is. You want to be borderline a little ambitious and maybe a little crazy, but you also can't be out of touch and ignore reality. And so you're always balancing that with your messaging. And I told the kids last year, I said, we're returning 5 national qualifiers. Plus, we brought in Seth Nevels. I thought we had a team that could compete at a higher level. And for the most part, we did. We dropped a couple of close rules that we'd love to have back, but we did some great things at moments too as a team. And then, we had some big moments happen in the postseason individually. We came up short a couple of times, but we definitely competed at a higher level. I think there's a different expectation because of that. And so, it was every time you walk out of the room, you touch the wall, expect to win. It's the last thing you see. It's the last thing you think about. And we do it whether we run, we lift, we drill, whatever we do. Even if it's outside, we come back in and touch the wall. I stole it from Notre Dame, play like a champion today. The last thing the kids do before they walk out of that tunnel and onto the field, they see that sign, they touch that wall. They think about all the guys that went before them. You've seen that sign, touch that wall, and all the great things that they've done on the field. I want our kids to start to think about the same thing here in College Park and to go out and expect to do great things. And we're just starting to get to that. And I know our kids want to meet that standard and want to meet that expectation and believe in themselves to a point where every time they go out, it doesn't matter who's across from them, what team's visiting, where we are, it just our expectation is we're going to win. And I can't say what was said on our camping trip because it's probably not PC. But Dario Lemus had a really great call to action to the guys this fall when we did our camping trip and got out of Dodge. And it was awesome to hear a young kid just say like more. And the way he said it wasn't very eloquent, but it was perfect in the moment. And if you know Dario, it was perfectly said. And I think our kids loved it. And I'm excited to see him continue to respond to it and be motivated by it, step up to what we want to get done every time out.
Excellent, man. I love it. So one other thing I wanted to shout out, I know you guys have a duel coming up November 16th versus American, another local team there. And you guys, it will be at Bullis. Is that a high school, correct?
Yeah. Bullis High School.
Excellent.
It's there's a mutual donor that is involved in all three programs, Bullis, American, and Maryland. We had a scheduling conflict. First thing that I thought of is, hey, we should all go there. And got the athletic director on board and did a site visit. Made sense. They've got some really awesome facilities. They can house us. It's 30 minutes, maybe a little 40 minutes from each campus. It's not super far. It's still in the DMV. It keeps the match for both fan bases very local. I just think when things make too much sense, you try to do it. I think sometimes in reality, people don't do that. I'm like, what? So it made sense. So we did it. I'm really thankful to everybody involved that pulled that off. Our administration, American, Pitch Borelli, his staff, his administration, his wife's help at Bullis. She works at Bullis.
Nice.
The Meltzer family, and then obviously everyone at Bullis for okaying it and providing a great opportunity to keep this dual meet going. I want to wrestle all the teams in the DMV. Some teams will wrestle us. Some teams don't want to. We'll keep wrestling the teams that want to wrestle us, and we'll go from there.
Awesome, man. Well, and then that duel, I believe, is going to be streamed through the Intermat Rockfin station or some version of that. There's going to be more details coming out, but that will be available for people to watch. But obviously, if you're local, go check it out. We gotta support programs when you're in the area and be present and show your support. So, but awesome, man. Hey, I really appreciate you making some time for me today, and excited to see the season unfold.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. As always, I think getting to matches is a big deal. Having crowd support, having fan support, showing administrations and people on campus that your program's relevant and that people, you have a product that people want to see, not just online or on TV, but in person, especially with everything going on in the world of wrestling and non-revenue sports. So I'm saying to everybody in the DMV and everybody across the country, if you're within a 35, 40-minute drive to a Division I program, go see multiple matches in person. It could be a big difference maker within their department and their institution. And selfishly, I want everybody in the DMV to be Terps fans and come out and support us and pack the path. But I know there's a lot of college wrestling fans that just revert to Rockfin or Flow or whoever and get out, go see the kids up close and personal and pack those arenas and show people that wrestling has an avid fan base.
This is as pivotal and as crucial a time as ever. So
you got it.
Yeah, we got to make it happen. Get out to as many things as you can. And again, Coach, I really appreciate your time.
Thanks. Take care and hope to see you soon.
Absolutely.